Now, Polo G beat the case. It's been a little while since we spoke about the boy Polo G, but I wanted to cover a case that he was up against from last year that he just ended up beating, so yeah, let's talk about it. Now, Polo G, I'm pretty sure everybody is familiar with Polo at this point. Definitely one of the hottest young rappers in the industry. He's been stepping his way through the industry for the last couple years and has become one of the more prominent young rappers in the game. Can we talk about this case that he was up against from last year though? So what exactly is this case that I'm talking about? Well, let's talk about it. So in June of last year, Polo G ended up getting arrested in Miami. It was the same night of his Hall of Fame album release. He got arrested during a traffic stop and police claimed that things got violent. According to the police, they stopped Polo G because the windows on his car were tinted. They allegedly asked him to lower the windows, and that's when Polo G, according to the police, became violent. On the actual arrest report, the police also claimed that Polo said a couple things to them, one of them being this: "I will kill you, I swear I'll use these fists to beat the shit out of you and knock your ass out." I'm gonna be honest, I can't imagine Polo G using these words in this kind of situation. That's why I think it sounds funny. Anyway, on top of this, the police also claimed that he caused physical harm to their officers as he was being detained. So essentially, Polo got accused of beating up the Popo. They ended up taking Polo into custody, threw a bunch of charges at him. He got released shortly after that, by the way. After this, he put up 2 different tweets addressing the arrest. On the first one, he said, "One of the officers told us they was on us since we got off our jet." He continued saying, "They playing foul in Miami and that shit been like that for a minute." Polo G's mother, Stacey Mack, who's also his manager by the way, she decided to speak out against the Miami Police Department. This is what she said: "None of these charges would be possible if the police did not make contact with my son, Polo G. He was not the driver. He was a passenger in a professionally licensed vehicle with security. He was moving smart and correctly. What more could he have done?" So what Polo G's mother is referring to is this, right? Initially, people thought that Polo G was the driver of the vehicle, but as it turns out, like his mother said, he had hired a driver while he was in Miami, so he wasn't driving the car. Now, this entire arrest, man, definitely came across as very overkill to me, because if you guys don't know, they brought out damn near the whole department for this, okay? Just check out this clip right here for reference.
But not long after, Polo G's car was stopped along Biscayne Boulevard and Southeast 1st Street. There was a scuffle between the rapper and an officer, and according to an arrest report, the rapper said, "I will kill you. I swear I'll use these fists to beat the expletive out of you and knock your expletive out." Polo G was arrested along with the mother of his child and his sister. His mother heard in this video.
"All of this for 2 boys? Where are my sons?"
A 7 News viewer happened to be flying a drone nearby, capturing the incident from above.
So, if you're looking at the screen, as you can clearly see, they did in fact bring out the whole squad on this one. I counted all the police cars I saw, and there's over a dozen here, which no matter what way you look at it, especially for this kind of arrest, is overkill. Polo G's mother, like you heard in the clip, was furious about this. She was actually live streaming the whole thing on, I believe it was IG.
"They refuse to let me speak to my minor son. Do you see this? Do you see this? Do you see this? When I say beyond ridiculous, beyond ridiculous." Look at that shit. Look at him. Look at him.
So this whole arrest, to me at least, looked very shady. Yes, he was being accused of allegedly harming law enforcement, but keep in mind, no one has seen the alleged footage, if there is any. As far as the charges getting dropped though, let's get to that. So back in November of 2021, this news right here came out. Rapper Polo G could soon be off the hook for allegedly beating the crap out of a Miami cop because the bulk of charges against him are now dropped. Prosecutors tossed 2 felony charges against Polo: battery a police officer and threatening a public servant. Polo's misdemeanor charge for criminal mischief was dropped too. We're told prosecutors found insufficient evidence to move forward with their case on all 3 of those charges. So the bulk of the charges he was facing, they ended up getting dropped. At this point, however, Polo still had 2 charges left and they were misdemeanors. Now from this point, it was looking like the boy was eventually gonna beat the case, which he did. His attorney, Bradford Cohen, who's represented a whole lot of rappers in the past, he made a statement to TMZ at the time saying that Polo was gonna eventually enroll in an anger management program, and that right there was eventually gonna lead to the remaining charges getting dropped. Now the other day, we actually got the news that the final 2 charges ended up getting dropped. Rapper Polo G's final 2 charges in his cop attack case, they should have said alleged cop attack case. Anyway, rapper Polo G's 2 final charges in his cop attack case, again alleged cop attack case, have been dropped after he completed anger management classes, putting an end to this whole saga. The artist recently completed a 6-hour management course, resulting in his final 2 counts of misdemeanor, resisting an officer without violence being tossed. As for why he got cut a break, this was a part of the pre-trial intervention program, which allows offenders with non-violent offenses to have charges dropped when they complete such programs. So like you heard, the charges got dropped and Polo completed a 6-hour management course, which finally put an end to this case. Keep in mind, Polo never pled guilty, which is why this case ended up being pretty straightforward from what I saw. Mind you, this happened less than a year ago, and a case like this where you're getting accused of harming police, that doesn't typically end this fast. For Polo G, since he's not an average Joe, he got the bag, okay, obviously that helps too. And on top of that, he had a very good lawyer by his side, so that's another plus. With that being said, best believe that they didn't do him a favor here, which I feel like the TMZ article I was reading made it seem. At the end of the day, he was handcuffed and spent valuable time in custody, time he could have used to celebrate his album release with his family. And another thing, had he done what they accused him of, he wouldn't be a free man, would he? Because like we clarified, part of why the charges got dropped was due to insufficient evidence, and I think that's really important to highlight. I want to say this, I really like how he handled this entire thing. Polo was being accused of some really serious stuff, which could have very much slowed him down big time. I mean, worst case scenario could have been he spends days or weeks in custody as he's fighting this, case. I also want to shine a light on how, apart from those 2 tweets he put up, he completely kept his mouth shut and didn't speak on his case at all. If you ask me, that was a power move on Polo's end. I'm saying this because a lot of rappers have been in situations where they get arrested and the next day they drop a record called Fuck 12. Not literally, but you know what I mean. The boy NLE Choppa is a good example of this. He was arrested last year in South Florida, was facing a couple different charges. He eventually ended up getting released and said this on his song Final Warning. So he told the Broward County police to lick his nuts and suck his dick, which is kind of funny, no lie. But this kind of thing can very much not only put a target on your back when or if you're out in the city of whatever department you gave the finger to. On top of that, it could very much have a negative effect on how your case gets perceived in the court of law by, let's say, a judge if it ends up going there. Polo G, however, took a different approach. Yes, he did put up some tweets, but apart from that, he didn't do or say anything that could have gotten him in trouble. Because keep in mind, had Polo, let's say, mentioned the situation in a record by going off on the Miami Police Department for this arrest, that would have paid off in a moment and created headlines, yeah, but it would have ended up costing him in the court of law. Who knows, maybe they could have tried to use what he says on a record against him as a way to make these allegations stick. That aside, I wanted to cover this Polo G case because usually, man, we don't see things go this smooth for a lot of rappers. I mean, Polo came out on the other end completely unscathed. The best thing he did here was, number one, not publicly talk about it on maybe a record. By the way, trust me, a lot of rappers would do that, and they would probably do more than just that. Polo, on the other hand, kept his head down in the midst of this, obviously hired a good lawyer as well. That paid off big time, and now he can put it behind him. But yeah, Polo G beat the case. Any thoughts on this? Like we covered, Polo G got arrested last summer after a traffic stop, which according to the police led to him causing physical harm to law enforcement. The charges, however, ended up getting dropped, and yeah, he handled this pretty damn good if I do say so myself. But anyway, any thoughts on this Polo G story and how he beat the case? Definitely let me know in the comment section below, and let's have a discussion about this.